Run.
Impact event in 3, 2, 1.
That black goo is absolute poison for this franchise.
When that shit shows up, it's like, fuck it, fuck this movie. I'm so over that shit.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Like, they didn't learn their lesson after Covenant.
Watch me. I'll do the fingering.
This is an out of theater review. Usually
we literally just got back from
yeah,
seeing
usually
it.
we'll wait like
a night or something.
Yeah. Just let it settle a little
Yeah.
bit, think about it a little more. This, we were just like, nope, gotta go straight, record it right now. Because we were really, really pumped for this movie.
You know, I expected more from you. I thought you'd be smarter than this.
Happy to disappoint you.
I was saying all the way up, leading up to the release of this, that I was very excited for it, and I felt stupid for being excited for it. And this is exactly why, because I figured that they just wouldn't be able to contain themselves and they'd fuck it up somehow.
Nope.
Even though there were so many things going for it,
Yep.
you know,
it felt like a return to form.
It did.
When the film started.
The production design, the sound design, not so much the music.
Well, the music was a weird mashup of shit.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But that stuff, it very much was a return to form in terms of bringing us back into the Alien universe.
Yes.
You know, whereas
the OG Alien universe.
Right. You watch Prometheus.
Hey, baby.
You watch Covenant. And those movies suffer from basically what Star Wars prequels suffer from. Why does all this shit look more sleek than the stuff from the past? You know what I mean?
And of course, like, you can't just let anything be shrouded in mystery.
Yes.
You have to explain the origin of every fucking thing in your entire universe.
When it comes to the technology, I'm aware that the director has specified why things are like that. He turns it into like a whole class thing. So
right.
if you're like a blue collar worker, you can be working on ships that are more tactile.
You get CRT screens.
You get CRT screens.
Right.
Exactly. Fine. I guess that's an explanation, but it's a pretty stupid explanation, because when you watch the original Alien and Aliens, it's clear that that's just how the technology is supposed to be in the future.
Right. And then this does that right. It slots it in between those two films.
Yes.
20 years or so after the first Alien. And the technology feels like it's of that time. Now, this is something that hit me very early in the film, and we talked about this very briefly. It's got that technology from that time period, but the movie still has that like modern gloss to it that shows itself in like camera movement, camera placement, things like a camera shouldn't be doing or couldn't have done from that time period.
Correct.
And that kind of pulls you into more of that modern feel. It's like mashed up with the old technology.
That being said, though, the cinematography in terms of the lighting and atmosphere, it's fantastic. I love the orange and white lighting color scheme that they had a lot.
No, the set design looked awesome.
I really did appreciate the fact that you can tell that Fede Alvarez is a fan of Alien Isolation.
Yes.
Because there are so many
little nods to the game.
Yes. Yeah. Like the little lever that they were pulling.
You got to prime the lever before you can open the door.
I know that those are probably in the original Alien movies, but they really designed it to look just like the unit in the game.
Yeah.
Even the corridor when they get to the Romulus science space station, when they get into there, the corridor looks very similar to the medical bay in Alien Isolation.
Dude, the first time I played Alien Isolation, that was like the first time I had been actually scared by a xenomorph since the Great American Movie Ride that I went on with my family in 1992.
MGM Studios, man.
Hell yeah.
This movie kind of wanted to be Alien Isolation in some regards.
It started off kind of like that.
Yeah.
If they had just kept going with that track, I didn't realize there were like multiple aliens were going to come into the film towards the end. So I was starting to think like, okay, this movie's like, it's a weird mashup of Alien Isolation, Aliens towards the end, and Prometheus. And that's a weird mashup.
Fucking A.
Because the newer films, the Prometheus, Covenant stuff, is just like, they're so separate in my mind from those old movies.
Yeah.
But like you were saying in the theater when we finished the movie, like, it's so hard to watch like Alien now and not think about fucking Prometheus.
No, yeah, that's the biggest crime that Prometheus pulled off.
Yeah.
Is now when you watch Alien and they enter that chamber in the very beginning, but now all you think about is fucking Prometheus and how shitty that movie is.
You just think about
when
David.
you see that scene. Yeah.
So what do you like to drink? Other than fucking jizz.
The biggest issue with this movie, and there are a lot of people that are saying that, oh, it's like barely in there. Fuck that.
No, it takes over the plot.
The biggest issue is the Prometheus canon-ruining jargon that they're trying to shove down everyone's fucking throats. And yes, there was like a revelation in the movie, and I'm sorry, but the entire thing is basically a product of Prometheus.
Yeah.
And the black goo and all that shit.
And once they bring that in, well, they don't know how to do exposition in films anymore.
Oh, God.
So the exposition is just told to the main characters, like, this is exactly what the goal of this space station is and what we're trying to do here. And it's like, why are you telling them?
Yes.
What purpose does it serve to tell them your master plan?
There is a CGI recreation of a character from a past film that's just there to serve as exposition dump. And he becomes like the antagonist of the film. Do you remember shitty Terminator Salvation?
Oh, good for you.
You have like Helena Bonham Carter being like the face of Skynet, like explaining the movie. Like that was so fucking retarded.
Yeah.
You did what Skynet has failed to do for so many years. You killed John Connor.
The cool thing about Skynet was that it was like a faceless AI that controlled these machines. But then in that shitty movie, you have this like visual representation. That's what Ash was in, or not, sorry, Rook was
Rook.
in this film, was basically the Helena Bonham Carter Skynet character of Terminator Salvation.
Shocker, we get Ash back, even though it's not Ash, it's Ian Holm. Like
a CG deepfake of Ian Holm.
Right, and when you first see him, they show, like, they pick his body up, and you see him in
silhouette,
profile.
the profile
like,
silhouette,
that looked cool, and it's like,
it's him, it's the same model as Ash.
But it's the same model as Ash.
Yeah.
You think like they're gonna do the talking bits where you see him maybe profile, and you know it's him.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And then all of a sudden they cut to this frontal, like, perfectly lit shot, and he just looked fucking weird. It's like,
when he talked, like the teeth were all blurry.
He just looked weird.
It looked fucking bizarre.
It looked like that deepfake shit.
Imagine if like the camera was in back of him and they power him on and you just see like the back of his head go up and then you hear that fucked up distorted voice.
With a little distortion to it.
And the camera's just kind of going around him slowly, but you never fully see him. Like that would have been so much fucking better than, like you said,
and
this
all you need him for is
sequence.
like the one scene, right? You bring him in, it's like, that's cool. You never have to like actually refer to him as Ash or have him say anything that Ash said. It's the same model. And that's a cool throwback without having to like change anything or, make the audience think like, oh, what's he gonna say? And then they start giving him all these lines that Ash had from Alien.
Yes.
And it's like, what?
So this movie, it falls into that shitty trap that like Ghostbusters Afterlife falls into, where it's like, oh, do you remember that cool line from this past movie? Let's have another character say that. So we get like Ash once again saying, you have
my sympathies.
You have my sympathies.
He says a few things that are like throwbacks to his character in the first movie, and it's like, come on, like that was a different synthetic who had a different relationship with those people. There's no reason for him to have the same lines.
It's already cool enough that like it's the same android model. You can stop there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so this movie opens with the company, Weyland-Yutani, basically going to the remains of the Nostromo after it blew up.
I kind of like the opening.
See, I don't.
But you don't like it because of what they find.
I don't. Okay, so I get that it's the ultimate creature.
The perfect organism.
The perfect organism.
Yeah.
I can accept the fact that it can live out in space for a couple days. But
it just cocoons itself and it's just chilling.
I guess they add to the lore. We find out new things that the alien could do, I guess. Apparently, one of these new tricks that it can do is cocoon itself when it's in outer space.
Yeah.
Because they find it and then they bring it in there, they cut it in half, and like you see sort of like the fossilized xenomorph from the first film.
Yeah.
Basically, what the company did was they started doing experiments on the alien.
Yeah, which was their original goal.
And somehow through these experiments, they're able to extrapolate face huggers and like
create the whole life cycle.
Yeah, create the whole life. Okay, fine, whatever. And like, of course, this is all due to the black goo,
which Rook was able to extract
so,
from the face hugger,
so,
the pure black goo from the DNA, whatever. Okay.
Right. The space station is in orbit around a planet that has been terraformed. It's
a mining colony.
A mining colony.
Yeah, a Weyland-Yutani mining colony.
And there are some young characters on this planet who...
They're like indentured workers or something like that. Like they have to pay off like a certain amount of hours of work before they're allowed to like get a travel visa to leave the planet. So that's basically what every character is dealing with.
They stumble across the fact that there is this ship in orbit and the ship has cryopods aboard.
Right, because the closest system is 9 years away.
And they need cryopods pods to
take that
travel
trip.
that distance.
Yeah.
They show up to this space station, and all hell has broken loose on the space station.
But
They
you
must
know,
survive.
going through that whole sequence leading up to that, we were with it. Like,
Absolutely.
When they go on, like, they're taking the steps you would expect these characters in this situation to take. Nobody's really being stupid.
Not yet.
Not yet. But, you know, they find the cryopods, you know, they introduce the whole, like, gravity turns on, turns off kind of thing, and, like, some of the characters fall. And it's like, that kind of felt like very video game-esque. Where it's like you got to float through a room before the gravity turns back on, and then you find out that the station is slowly approaching the rings of the planet. So now you got that ticking clock, and it's like that's all like very video game-esque, and I like that because it at least adds some like additional background drama.
Yeah, but it's even like Aliens, how the ventilation system's going, and the planet's going to blow up.
Yeah,
so they have, then
you always
got to
have that ticking time clock. And once they find the cryotubes, they realize, okay, there's not enough
fuel in the
keep. It only gets them 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, we got to go find more cryofuel. So they go to the cryofuel room, and that's when things take a turn because they realize that they've got all the fuel they need, but those pods are
powering the cryostasis for the face huggers.
Yes,
which are in these like incubators.
Yeah, and I'm still all cool with that.
Sure.
You know, and then
I'm wondering, why are there no eggs? Why is this going on? Why? But I'm with it still.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Now I was thinking at this point, like, why would Weyland-Yutani let this very, very, very important research facility just kind of fall? And like, where are they?
Yes.
Like, did you not know this happened? Like, there's literally a Weyland-Yutani mining facility on the planet. Like, they didn't send anybody up to look at this.
But we're still at the point in the plot where things can be explained.
Yes. This is just in the back of my mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once they pull the cryo things out, they kind of get trapped in the room. They can't get out. And all the face huggers start coming out of cryostasis.
Which is a great sequence.
It was a really good sequence.
Yeah.
And now you're getting these crazy face huggers running around, and they are terrifying. The group that gets stuck in the room, they're trapped in there with Andy, who's their android. He's the protector, I guess, of the main girl, Rain. He's kind of like a malfunctioning synthetic that the company threw away. He's trapped in the room with these two guys. And the rest of the crew was waiting on the spaceship because they were just supposed to go in, get the cryotubes, come out. But now they realize, like, okay, they have to go in now to kind of get them out of this room. And our main heroine, Rain, she figures out, like, okay, if I pull the chip out of the Ash unit, put it in Andy, he'll be able to override whatever security protocols and get them out of the room. But when she does this, this kind of switches his character over now to, he's not this meek, malfunctioning android.
He's now part of the company.
And he's all fixed and he's all business now. And I really liked his switchover. We're still with it.
Still going with it.
Still with it at this point. So he manages to get them out of the room. He's helping them fight off the face huggers. And then, of course, the one face hugger comes out, gets on the chick from the trailer. And in that course of events, she gets back to the ship. And this is where we get to our first really big problem in the film. And that is the gestation period.
Okay. If a face hugger gets on you,
You're fucked.
there is absolutely nothing you can do at that point. You are done, right?
Right.
It sits on you for hours doing the implant. And then finally it dies and comes
falls
off of you.
crawls away, dies.
Dies,
Yeah.
yes. And then it takes like an additional few hours to a day, maybe. They're not quite
super
specific,
clear in the original.
But there's a passage of time when Kane gets the facehugger on him. The facehugger dies, and
then they're at
he's
dinner
up
later.
and around
Yeah.
before the chest burster finally comes out. And the aliens, that woman that they find cocooned when they're
how long has she been there?
Yeah, exactly. She's been there for a fucking while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my point. The first movie to fuck with this stuff is Alien versus Predator. They put the eggs in front of those people, it opens up, and then like it gets on the person and it cuts away to a different scene, comes back, facehugger's already dead, and the
already
chest
out of
burster's
them, yeah.
already coming out. Because the plot needs that to happen in
And
her.
also, they figure out a way to get the face hugger off of her.
Just freeze its tail a little bit.
Just
and
tickle
comes
its
up.
underside.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll hop off.
Alien and Aliens both make it very clear that if you fuck with this thing while it's on you, the host is going to die.
You will die.
Surgically removed before embryo implantation. Subject Marichek, John J., died during the procedure. They killed him taking it off.
You can't get it off. So, no sense of that in this movie.
And then they get it off very quickly, and they're like, well, did it finish its gestation?
They
It's
don't
like,
even, and they
well,
go, I'll give it a 60-40% chance.
60-40 chance. It's like, what the fuck? What?
The facehugger wasn't even able to do its thing, but yet we have a sped up gestation period.
She gets back to the ship, and literally within minutes,
it's already going.
That thing is just popping out of her chest. And we were worried about that when we were going into it.
That's like the first thing I said to you after we saw the trailer. And I remember leaning over to you and I'm like, okay, if that fucking happens 5 minutes after the face hugger
comes off,
that's gonna suck.
They did it.
It's literally what happened.
They fucking did it. Now, the woman who had the face hugger on, when she dies, she like hits the control.
She kicks the joystick of the ship, yeah.
And it causes the ship to just like go nuts. Now, I actually really liked this sequence.
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And the ship kind of like does like a semicircle around the station and then perfectly crashes in the hangar. It clipped something on the ship which caused an explosion, which accelerated its advancement towards the rings. So it went from 36 hours to like 36 minutes now before they have to like get out of there before the station crashes. Now we're jumping back and forth between what's happening in the crashed spaceship and inside the space station. On the ship now, we get the other girl who is pregnant, and you get the guy who's with her, who I think he was like one of the siblings of one of them. I don't remember. He's like, okay, you know, we got to get out of here. And this is when I did like this, because you never really get to see this in the older ones. And it's a little more insight into when the alien pops out, it's like this big. And then all of a sudden it's huge later on. You get to see it like kind of cocoons itself. And so that one dude with the cattle prod thing, he tries to like zap the shit out of it and it kills him. And he died stupid, like with the acid dripping on him.
Yeah, and this is a good time to bring up the fact that Fede Alvarez, if you watch Evil Dead, and even Don't Breathe, like there's some fucked up stuff from that movie.
Oh yeah.
Like he's very good at gore. This movie, you know, like I've been hearing, oh, this movie's so disgusting, especially in its third act. Not really. Like he could have gone farther with the gore. Like so the guy goes up to the cocoon and like the end of the tail sticking out, and then like I guess stabs his eye out.
You think it like just stabs him, but then it like he's on the ground like, oh, he's like holding his eye, and it's like, okay, so I guess it like hit him, but it didn't kill him.
It pushes out with like showing like the damage that is done to him.
Yeah, he's like holding his hand over it, and then he falls underneath the cocoon, and then like just little drops of acid are just like
melting him,
and he's like, you see his like bones sticking out of his face, and it's like, okay, and then like all of a sudden he's just like, and he's just dead because it like hit him in the chest. I guess it went through his chest or something. And
it was very weird how that happened, because he was like,
yeah, he kind of like had like a spasm.
Yeah,
and then he's just dead. And it's like, all right, that was kind of weird.
Whatever comes, we'll face it together.
Let's go.
So Andy is trying to help our other two characters, who you have Rain and, you know, the main guy she's with. They have to get to where the ship is, but to get there, the only way through is through this hallway that's just filled with face huggers. Andy, he just knows that the face huggers, they obviously don't have any eyes, so they sense sound and they sense heat. Now, just previous, he mentions that he doesn't know anything about these creatures.
There is an explanation for this, you know.
He somehow has like specific temperature control of that hallway, and he raises it to exactly 98.6.
Yeah.
So their body temperatures are like totally perfect, 98.6.
Right. So now they just have to worry about sound.
This is when the girl, who's now alone, she starts calling in the earpiece of the guy, and he's like, hey, what's going on?
He starts
like, what are you fucking talking
whispering
for?
is a fucking sound still.
And all of a sudden, all the face huggers are like,
yeah, it's fucking
and then Andy's like, run. So they get through this hallway, and then they meet up with the other girl on the other side of the door, and the alien's like coming up behind her, and Andy's like, well, I can't open the door, because if I open the door, he's just sitting there waiting, he'll just come through the door and kill all of us. And yeah, I kind of get his logic, but they get really pissed at him in the moment, because now he's got that Weyland-Yutani programming in there. You think she gets killed. The alien takes her away, and she's gone. So this is when it takes that turn to the point where we're like, fuck this movie.
Yes.
Whoopie fucking do.
He takes them to the Romulus lab, and we get the fucking exposition dump by Ash. Rook wants Andy to complete the mission, which was their original mission. And then he goes into this stupid exposition dump about how he was able to extract this black goo from the face huggers, and now they want to use that to enhance humans, because humans are shitty at space travel and they all just keep getting sick on their mining facilities. So they want to create like the perfect human specimen to work for the company.
That is so
and it's like, oh,
fucking lame.
Fuck off with this shit. All they want is to use it for weapons.
Yes,
that's it.
And people that have traveled into space, they're not fucking sick because they're pathetic at space travel. You know, Like, what a weird
the
thing to change in the
colony,
universe.
Hadley's Hope. Nobody was sick there.
Yeah, why change that?
They just keep introducing this bullshit lore that
it doesn't need to be
necessary.
There. Like you said, just the fact that they want it for their bioweapons division.
That's enough.
That's enough.
No, you keep this xenomorph species surrounded in mystery. They realize like there's this alien species out there that they can use to create whatever, bioweapons, but they think in their arrogance that they can control it.
Yeah.
And you see for a glimpse in the first Alien that this species, whatever it was, that was flying this ship, they tried to control it.
Yeah, the engineers. Fuck that, we're not going to call them that. The space jockey, whatever race that thing was part of, it tried controlling these things or using these things, perhaps as weapons, we don't know, which is what makes the first Alien fucking awesome, is because you don't know.
Right, and when you see that crashed space jockey and what happened to him.
They find him and then his chest is bursted out, and it's like, you don't know what's going on. But this alien species stumbled across this other alien species at one point and probably tried to use it the same way Weyland-Yutani wants to use it.
And it also lends to the vastness of the universe. When Prometheus tried to tie it to humans, it shrunk everything.
Yeah,
like
when they changed the space jockey to engineers, and the engineers are actually the ones that created humans. And now the aliens aren't even aliens. They're technically just science experiments created by engineers.
No, it's way scarier to know that there's something out there that's been developing over millions of years and it's this perfect organism, and we think in our arrogance that we can control it, and it's like, no, this shit will fuck you up. It will find a way to fuck you up.
That's enough. Like, that's all you need.
Yes, there's going back and filling in every goddamn gap.
Dude, he's explaining the black goo, sort of, because you never get a full explanation of that shit, of course. And there's a fucking hologram that pops up that doesn't show like the black goo. It shows the
canister, and it's like,
why would it show that?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you picked up on this, but when it showed that, the fucking Prometheus theme comes in. The music from Prometheus comes in, and I'm like,
at one point they bring in some aliens cues. They bring in some Prometheus cues, and it's like, are you your own movie or not?
So Benjamin Wallfish did the score to this. He also just recently did Twisters. My problem with the music was it just has that modern day big Hollywood sound to it, almost like a fucking Marvel movie, like a comic book movie. When you listen to the score in Alien and in Aliens, a lot of it is very atonal, weird, experimental music.
Right.
In the opening of Alien, you hear that howl. Then that really creepy string shit comes in. Just weird, abstract, minimalist scores.
Yeah.
And Aliens does that as well, but then as the film progresses, you have this driving, percussive action music that's in it too, which makes that
so well.
Oh god, that score is fucking phenomenal. Bishop's countdown at the end. One of the all-time greatest film music cues ever. Was in like every trailer in the 90s.
From Quentin Tarantino. From dusk till dawn.
All four of the original Alien movies, the scores were very different from each other, but all very good.
Yeah, even Alien 3 has that like it goes back more to that tonal like a mix of like aliens and Alien, like less of like the military cues.
Yes. Alien 3 introduced some choral elements. There's like some vocal music in there, which is really cool. The score for Alien Romulus was not memorable. It's too film music-y. So I guess there are somehow fans of fucking Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Those movies are bullshit.
I'm out of here. You staying?
No, ship's good.
A few moments later.
Hey, baby.
But anyways, those people are going to be saying, well, like it or not, that stuff's canon now, so you have to have that in the movie.
That's the Ridley Scott story.
No. No, that's fucking bullshit. Part of what I thought was going to be the mission of this particular film was to return the series back to form. Get it away from that prequel crap that Ridley Scott has been feeding us the past two movies and return to like just a straightforward alien flick. You can say that the stuff from Prometheus and Covenant is now canon.
No, I don't think I will.
But you can choose to just ignore that stuff.
Ignore it.
You don't have to say that doesn't exist or didn't happen.
Yeah.
You could just ignore it. And, like I said, the people are like, oh, it's canon now. You have to accept it. No. This movie, Prometheus and Covenant, all three of these movies choose to ignore other canon. They ignore the proper life cycle of the alien. They ignore the queen. Part of that is because Ridley Scott has never liked what Cameron did with aliens, apparently. He didn't like the fact that he created a queen and like the life cycle of the alien. So Ridley Scott himself chose to just ignore that stuff. He doesn't flat out decanonize it, but he just doesn't mention it.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't this fucking movie do that with the Prometheus bullshit? Just don't mention that stuff.
Right. Well, because, Scott Free was producing
exactly.
the film.
When the movie started and it showed the Scott Free logo,
we both looked at each other
and it's like, dude, like normally that means quality, or at least there was a time where that meant quality, but now when you attach that logo to an alien film, it's just like, oh, fuck.
Oh, God, here we go. Black goo and engineers.
Black goo, engineers, pseudoscience, like fucking faux intellectual, philosophical bullshit that tried to be deeper than it really was.
And of course, all that shit is absent from the trailers for this movie
because
they know,
rightfully fucking so.
Yeah, I wonder why none of it's in the because it's some big reveal.
And switch, dude.
Yeah, because Scott won't produce a movie like this unless he's got his fucking black goo in there.
Once that stuff comes in there, it's apparent that this black goo is the backbone of this movie.
Well, now it becomes about, okay, the black goo has to be transported off the station and has to be brought to a different Weyland-Yutani station so they can continue their research.
Yeah.
So Rook is now using Andy to complete the mission.
Yeah.
And that's what it becomes about. So now Andy is carrying around this canister of black goo vials.
It's the MacGuffin of the film now.
Yeah. And you think at this point, it's like, okay, well, your prime directive is to get this goo off this ship. So why the hell are you still just trying to get these humans out of here with you?
Yeah.
I guess there's still some Andy in there.
Whatever.
Now, this is when we get to, they have to get to where the ship is in the hangar, and they come across the nest where we see what the aliens have been doing.
You find all of the
space
scientists
station.
where all the
Yes.
scientists went.
Yes.
And it's very much like the colonists and aliens.
Yes.
They met the same fate.
They're going through the hallway there, and the dude hears the girl from the ship who we thought was killed. She was just taken, and she was cocooned, and she was injured enough that she never had a face hugger go on her. They free her, and they realize, like, oh shit, there's like more than one alien here. We're in a nest. So they're like, okay, well, there's an elevator over here. This elevator will take us all the way up to the hangar. That's when the dude gets attacked by, he gets stabbed, and they pull him up, and that's when you see, like, oh my god, there's a bunch of aliens. And that was cool.
Yeah.
And you think, like, he's got the pulse rifle. Maybe he's gonna try and take a couple out, and he just gets killed. They show it go through like his head, and it was like, but it was so fast that it's like, okay, yeah. They kind of away. Is this movie rated R?
Yeah.
He dies. So now we're down to like literally the final group. You got Rain, Andy, and then whatever the other girl's name is. I don't remember, but she's like badly injured. They're trying to get in this elevator, and Andy, he gets injured. He gets like thrown to the floor, and he's kind of just like out of commission. So she puts the injured girl in the elevator with the canister of goo, and she's like, okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to just go up to the hangar. I need you to like get yourself into cryostasis, to do all this shit, and then like leave. It's like, leave? How the fuck are you gonna get off the station? She's like, I'll figure it out, girlfriend.
They do we need to split up moment.
And then you get like this slight callback to Ripley in Aliens, where she like kind of gets her gun, she loads up, and she's
a
going.
Very shitty callback.
Exactly. She's gonna go rescue Newt. Except this, she's going to rescue Andy.
She splits up with her because she needs to go save her android.
Yes.
Stupid.
Yeah, her and Andy have a relationship, but it's not the same as Ripley and Newt.
No.
Like, Bishop earns his respect.
Exactly, yeah.
And Ripley does not like him.
Just stay away from me, Bishop. You got that straight?
Even if she like earned his respect, she still would have left him because he's still a synthetic.
Yes. And Bishop would have been like, well, this is my place. Goodbye. And Andy, even at one point when they're like, oh, well, wherever the planet they're going to, apparently like they don't allow synthetics there or something.
Which weird.
They mentioned it quickly in the beginning. Yeah. And it was like, oh, does he know that he can't go with you? And she's like, well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and he just won't be with me, but he'll understand. And then he gets told that by one of the other characters, and he's like, well, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no stakes there. For her going back for him, it's like...
You just wonder, why is she going back, you fucking stupid bitch? Like in Aliens, you want her to go back for Newt. You want Newt to still be alive.
And Hicks is like, I believe you. Like, she's not dead, but we gotta go.
Yes.
And they get back to the ship, and she's like, don't let him leave. And
yes.
We ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
We ain't going anywhere.
She goes down, and of course, she walks out of the elevator, and he's right there.
Yeah.
And all the aliens have just left.
For some reason, they're not like on her as soon as she gets there.
Yeah.
She's like being loud.
Where'd they go? Did they all run up trying to follow the elevator? So she goes and she takes the little chip out of him that was making him possessed by Will and Yutani, and now he's just back to being Downsy Andy again. And he's all just like, ugh. So she gets him up. They have their little like moment, like, oh, I'm not gonna leave you, you know, like, this isn't me, this is us now, you know. This next sequence, I did like some of it, but it just got so stupid. She gets him up and they can't get to the elevator, so they go back the way they came, but that's kind of a dead end. And they're like, oh, I guess there's nothing we could do. And she's got her pulse rifle, she's up against the wall, and he cracks these stupid dad jokes, and he says something about like, oh, we got to, turn the gravity off. So they turn the gravity off and they start floating, and all the aliens are coming at them.
The reason why she has to do this is because they established that if you blow up one of the aliens, the acid will just leak right through the hole.
Exactly.
Then it'll decompress the whole ship.
Exactly. Yeah.
So her idea is to turn off the gravity, so when she shoots them...
stupid fucking idea.
Yes, so when she shoots them, the acid will just be floating in the air, and you don't have to worry about it.
She blows like 20 aliens apart. None of the acid flies towards them. It all just goes out in every other convenient direction.
Yes, but aside from that, you realize that there's more than one alien. Oh, fuck, there's multiple aliens.
Yeah.
All taken care of in this scene. She just blows them all away.
She takes them all out, except like, there's still a few that pop up later.
Sure, but the majority of the threat...
And then she's like, okay, we took them all out. Now we just got to float down this hallway back to the elevator, except there's just beads of acid floating everywhere, and they managed to avoid every single drop of acid.
Yeah.
Now, you'd think, as you mentioned earlier, Fede Alvarez...
being a Fede Alvarez movie...
How does she not get a few drops of acid on her? She could have had a couple,
go through some of it, and it fuck her up.
Like, singes her, burns her, she gets a few, like, cuts on her arm.
Have those moments where us, as the audience, is like,
we're just like,
fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been perfect. No, she just glides her way through, they get through this, they get to the elevator, they're still floating, but the gravity system that they had set up earlier in the film, it purges every so often, and the gravity comes back for like 10 seconds and then leaves again. And the gravity comes back, and Andy, he grabs the ladder, she's falling, and an alien...
the alien catches her.
It fucking wraps its tail, it catches her, and it's just like holding onto her and lets her grab onto the ladder. And then when the gravity comes back, the elevator falls, and it like takes out like another dozen...
It takes out the remainder of the aliens.
Yeah, except the one that was holding her.
Yeah.
It lets her go and then like hides, and then comes back out like it's about to kill her. And that's when Andy comes down with the pulse rifle, shooting it. The pulse rifle that also was like basically empty. He shoots this thing, he's blasting its head apart, and then he says,
when he lands,
one fucking line.
He says, "Get away from her." And then,
you bitch. What a fucking limp-wristed way to say the coolest fucking line that has ever been uttered in an alien movie.
Fucking Ripley is a chick, and she had more testosterone than that dude can generate in an entire year.
She comes out in that power loader and says that line, and your fucking nuts like just drop even further.
Right.
Get away from her, you bitch!
And he says it like the biggest beta cuck I've ever heard, and we're just like...
Again, why are you doing that?
Why did he say?
Why does he have to say a line from a previous film?
How about just have him say his own line?
Yes.
Nope. You got to have him say Ripley's line 30 years before Ripley says it. And then we cut back to the girl in the spaceship, and she's, of course, just fucked up. So what does she do? The smartest thing any character in a Ridley Scott-produced film would do.
Rook tells her to do it.
Just inject yourself
with the goo. At this point, she's been, like, out the whole movie, so she's not...
She doesn't even know.
She doesn't know what's going on with the Rook character.
So she listens to the guy on the screen.
But she hears this weirdo guy who she hasn't met before appear on screen, and he pretends like he's helping her, and he tells her, obviously, to inject one of the black goo things into her.
Yeah, and of course she does. They get to the spaceship, they take off, the space station crashes in. Cool sequence, whatever. But then we get to, okay, you think you're safe, but you're not safe sequence that you get in alien movies. This is where it's really just out of control stupid.
So this movie, it takes elements from each one of the alien films in the series. One of the things that made Alien Resurrection so fucking terrible is its third act. That stupid human hybrid baby hybrid is like one of the most retarded abominations in this entire series.
Yeah.
And that third act is so dumb.
Right.
This movie decided to take the most retarded aspect of Alien Resurrection and use that as its third act centerpiece.
And then merge it with Prometheus.
It's like, which creature sucks more? The baby creature from Alien Resurrection or this fucking
or
travesty?
The stupid engineer.
So she gives birth to an engineer, but it's all fucked up. It looks like an alien, sort of. It's lanky.
It's got like lankiness.
Yeah,
and
it's got like the exhaust pipe things in the back of the back, sort of.
But it still has like an engineer face.
But it looks like an engineer.
But it's got like kind of the alien teeth, and it's got the little mouth that comes out.
Oh my god.
And then she gets in a spacesuit, and then like, okay, now she's got to like fight this thing, and it was just so weird. Like, she has to go into the cargo bay and like dump the cargo bay because the ship is slowly descending and it's gonna crash. It switches off of autopilot into manual. She fights this thing and like she dumps the cargo and it crashes into the rings, and then she climbs back up, and then at the last second the ship switches back into autopilot. What the fuck was that? And then it just flies away, no problem. It's like she puts Andy in the cryo, and she's like, oh, can I go to this place with you? And she's like, I don't care what they say, you're coming with me. It's like, well, no, they're just going to tell you can't have him when you get there. Like, nothing changes. It wasn't your intent that needed to change. It was the rules of the location you're going to.
They're not going to give a shit when you get there.
Yeah, you can't just decide that gets to change now. You still have to deal with the same issue when you get there.
No, in fact, they're going to take a look at their ship logs and then fucking experiment on them.
What the fuck were you doing? The whole hybrid thing, it's like, I remember when Resurrection came out and going to see that movie, like, just, like, what is this? And seeing that thing slowly get sucked out of the hole in the side of the ship.
I will give it Resurrection credit. You do have some sympathy for the thing briefly.
When it's like dying and she's just like, oh.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Like, it really is fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, that sequence is fucked up. But this, you're just like, who gives a fuck? You feel more for the woman who was like pregnant, and then, but that's done. She's dead. And now whatever this thing is, you're just like, fuck. All I see is engineer.
Yes.
Fuck that.
I'm reminded of Prometheus and Covenant.
Yeah.
Fuck those movies.
God, this movie, it knew what it was doing. It hid all of that Prometheus Covenant shit because it knew people were going to see this trailer and be like, fuck this movie.
Exactly.
It's more of that bullshit.
Yep.
This is just the third film in the Prometheus trilogy.
Yeah.
They hid all of it.
Yeah.
So you'd look at it and be like, oh shit, this is a return to form.
Yeah.
This is like Alien and Aliens. Nope.
What a coincidence that all the shitty stuff about this movie just happens to be the tie-ins to Prometheus and Covenant.
And all the shit that was missing from the trailer.
I'm shocked.
All right, well, ranking.
God, like, we just came out of this, so I haven't had like a day to sit on it.
Just during the course of this review, like, I've been fluctuating.
Yeah, same. And like, we've been ragging on this movie to death more than we've said positive things. But there are positive things about this film. Like I said, the opening is pretty strong, except for the very. I don't like the fact that they found the alien from the first movie.
In a cocoon.
That pisses me off.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna find the alien from the first film, why not have that be your primary antagonist again?
Or it's still alive or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they find it, and like, obviously the scientist had battled with it.
The thing was like hanging up in the ceiling.
Yeah. So like, if you're gonna go that route,
I would have preferred a singular alien in this as opposed to like a whole nest of aliens.
I wouldn't have cared if it was a whole nest of aliens had it not just been over with in that scene. Like, there wasn't really a threat that there were multiple aliens. And so it was annoying because of that. Okay, so rating. Shit, I don't know, man. I'll give this a 6 out of 10.
I actually went 5.5 out of 10.
I was thinking 5.5.
No, that's fine. 6 is fine.
6? Yeah, 6 is good. Okay.
There was a lot of good stuff about it. It's just that when all of a sudden you find out that it's been the black goo all along, it's like, fuck this movie. And
completely turned me off.
It just it takes away from everything else that just could have been just a great alien movie. Just from watching the first teaser trailer, it's like you just see and you feel everything like, oh my god, it's like an old back to form alien movie.
We're back. We're back.
Yeah. That's all you need. That's all people want.
Yes.
On the other scale,
the rainbow scale,
no.
I mean, you've got like your multicultural cast, I guess. You know, if you watch Alien, the cast is pretty diverse in Alien.
Yeah,
like
even going back to the original Alien.
Yeah, then you have Aliens where they took an Irish woman and they painted her brown.
Fuck you, man.
No, they're not pushing anything in this.
No.
We've known from the beginning that Weyland-Yutani is just an evil corporation. That's nothing new.
They do kind of push that a lot in this one, though.
They do. When she's like got her visa ready to leave and they're like, oh, we've just decided to double the amount of hours it takes for you to leave now. It's like, okay.
They're making Weyland-Yutani like super oppressive in this one.
This is the most oppressive they've felt. I don't know. I went like 0.5 on this one. Like, it's good to see that shit's just not permeating this film. Can we recommend it? I'd say go see it if you care at all about alien films.
It's still worth like from a visual standpoint.
It's a competently
it's
made
aesthetically
film
really well done.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous movie. So yeah, it's cool to see
the aliens look great. They're all practical for the most part.
Even though it does have the Prometheus aspects, it still is better than Prometheus.
Yeah,
I would still rather watch it over those. But I'm pretty disappointed though.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this film for months.
Yep.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to hear the word of mouth. It's going to be interesting to see if people agree with us or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this might be a mixed bag, comment-wise.
I'm legitimately curious to see.
We'll see
How you guys felt about the movie.
Yeah,
so
curious.
So please let us know.
Yeah.